Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Raft series. Today we pick up the action where we left off. We had just docked up against Balboa Island, and as it turns out, I was a bit rusty on this one. So there's going to be a bit more to this than I originally planned. So, you better strap yourself in, get your favourite pair of hiking shoes on, and let's rejoin the action. Now, when you arrive at Balboa Island, this is the sort of docking point that I always tend to default to. It's very easy to identify at a distance because you can see the gap in the island, and it's a relatively easy way to sort of navigate your way into the island without immediately being jumped by anything. Minor spoiler there. There is a way of getting to this location from, essentially it is the other side of the island. There is a beach there, and we will end up visiting that at some point because there's a little bit of good loot there. You can come at it from that side if you want to, but most of the time when I'm just naturally going from point to point to point, this is the location I always end up at. So if this is where you arrive at, or this is the side of the island that you discover first as part of your own playthrough, then that's just the way it is. Now, there is some berry bushes around. They're not actually food per se. They are a quest item for the series of things that we need to achieve while we're here on Balboa Island. Now, there is a lot of berry bushes around. The berries are there to, I'll say, enable something a bit later. I'll go into greater detail then. But it's there to enable something later, and it's something that, at least for previous playthroughs, was very, very time-based. And if you dawdled at all, there was a chance you could kind of muck it up a bit and you'd need to do it again. And I think that's the main reason why there's so many berry bushes on the island. But other than for that event, it's a bit like the mechanical parts. I think they just naturally decided to put some redundancy in these mission items so that you couldn't get stuck in your playthrough if you lost one or you weren't able to find one or whatever the story might be. Now, as the action is unfolding here on the screen, Balboa Island's version of the rodents of unusual size, and apologies to the Princess Bride fans out there, that was an obvious reference that I completely missed the opportunity to do while we're on the Vastagun, the boat, with all of those large rats. On this island, however, we have bears. So, just bear with me a bit on this. Look, honestly, bears as a thing to deal with, I'm not going to not use that pun, okay? Anyway, there are a few locations on this island, and the bears, like the rodents of unusual size on the boat, I'm pretty sure they're triggered by traveling past certain points in the location triggers a spawn or a respawn of said bears, because just about every time I go through the various crossroads and locations where the bears are, they've repopped already, regardless of how recently I was already there. Anyway, we're moved on to our first significant challenge as we make our way to the first location, which is the ranger station. Now, I'm making a complete schmozzle of this. Probably not intentionally, but it does illustrate a point. Even though this goop does look really dark and scary, and as you can see from my health bar, it is doing quite a lot of damage. if you're reasonably quick getting from point A to point B and you spend at least some of the time not immersed in goop, there's a good chance you'll come out the other side with some health left. The trap there is obviously timing your jumps, and you're going to see me run through that a few times, but more on that later. You've got to jump from one to one to one, but the thing is, as you land on each one, they then sink. So, yeah, honestly, it's not something that I got the hang of even through previous playthroughs. Now, we've picked up our first blueprint. There's a lot of plastic around. There's a lot of other things around. And there is actually a container here and a note. Now, that particular note didn't actually tell us anything. I'd sort of thought that one had an audio clip as well, but it didn't. It was just a schedule, and it didn't really give us anything of any real information. So, yeah, anyway. There is a little, like a icebox kind of thing on a shelf immediately above my head. I did find it later in this playthrough, but I didn't, for all my looking around, I didn't look up. If I looked up, I probably would have noticed it. Now, in the ranger station, it does, there's, like in the boat, there's like a workbenchy kind of thing, except it's just a tool rack on the wall. And it wants the, what does it want? It wants a hammer, a wrench, and a saw. And they are scattered across the island in various locations. Some of them you're just going to naturally hit very easily as part of going from the ranger station to each of the relay towers. At least one of them is in a spot which I routinely forget about. And it's probably the main reason why this run through of this island does not fit in one episode. Yeah, I didn't get it all done in this half-hour episode. There will be more to follow in the following episodes, so stay tuned for that one. In the meantime, we've reached our first relay tower, and apologies if anyone has issues with heights or spinning around a lot, but those stairs are quite annoying in that regard. But now we've arrived, we're just going to loot the tower and see what else, any little story tidbits and other things that we can find while we are here.
Three months ago, my sister Astrid and I were put in charge of the ranger station on Balboa. We handled the bear population and kept the relay towers operational. The next shift was meant to start weeks back, but the replacements never showed up. Henry suggested that I start writing things down after Astrid disappeared, so that I'm not feeling so lonely anymore.
Alright, so we just activated the relay station. There is 3. Each one appears in its own tower. And we do get some useful information once we've activated all 3. Now we're having a bit of a look around on the roof here, and sure enough, yep, there's a crate. Rule of thumb, if it looks like there's a bunch of stacked crates that lets you climb up somewhere, chances are there's a chest there waiting for you. Alright, well, thankfully, we don't actually have to endure the muck on our return journey. There's a few different ways you can sort of fall or slide off the side of the hill. So as long as you're kind of in contact with the rock surface, you can slide down a fair way without necessarily causing yourself any harm. And that's all we've done there. We just took a little side slip to avoid going in the goop. Now, while we're sort of heading out here to go to the next relay station, yep, we weren't at the ranger station and the tower very long, but that bear at this crossroads has definitely respawned. Now, you'll notice I'm already on my spare spear, and I've already used about 20 or 25% of it in terms of durability. So, for the moment, where I've got the option to avoid having to fight a bear, I'm going to be doing that for the moment, because we don't have a lot of iron back on the raft, and to make more spears at this stage, I think I would be stuck having to make them from wood, and the wood spears are just absolutely revolting when it comes to trying to kill the rodents, or particularly these bears. These bears already take a lot of stabs from the iron spear. To do it with a wooden one, that would just take forever. Now, the lighting level in the recording, it sort of seemed okay at the time, but then in playback I've realised it was just a bit too dark. So for the most of the night, I've elected to just do this gamma adjustment on the recorded footage. It's actually not too bad here. It still retains quite a lot of detail, so let me know what you think down below. If I've gone light enough, great. If you think I should go a little bit lighter, just leave a comment down below, and the next time I'm doing some editing, I will mess with my settings a bit and try and extract a bit more lightness out of it. A lot of the issue here is that there's a lot of canopy and tree cover, so there's just a lot of shadows. Ordinarily, when you're out in the night, you can see in the lighter areas where the moonlight comes through. It's actually a lot less of an issue. It's just in this particularly dark areas on this particular island where it's a problem. Alright, that's one of the items that we need for that panel at the ranger station. We need the saw, there's a hammer, and there's a... can't remember what the other item is. Anyway, we'll work it out as we go. As you saw that bear, I'm going to go with the not looting the corpse method of trying to make it take longer to respawn. I honestly don't know that it actually has much of an effect on this island, but hey, anything I can do to avoid it respawning, I'll give it a try. We saw in that fight, we went from about an 80% spear down to about a 60%, so it's taking, we'll say, about 20% of my spear durability to kill a bear. So hopefully we won't have to deal with more than 3 additional bears before we have a chance to restock our spear supply. Let's see how we get on with that. In the meantime, we've arrived at the second relay station. Now, this is an instance where we actually have to hurl rocks to hit a lever. And it took me a moment to get my eye in, but I got it on the second hit. Probably a good idea not to be standing where that walkway drops down, because I suspect if I was there, it would have killed me. Anyway, on with the show.
The kids are fighting. Oh, Astrid would have known how to make them stop. I found her wrench out by the clearing. I've been calling out on the radio. Please, I just want to talk, sis. Miranda is screaming outside. I hope her and Henry make up soon.
Alright, so we found our hammer and we've activated the second relay station. We've now only got a third one to activate. Well, you know, let's see how easy it is to get to that one. Ominous foreboding. We've looked around. This is a very tall building up here. Clearly no stacked crates, so I think it's safe to say we're not meant to get up to the roof there. Because it was starting to get a bit lighter, I've just turned that lightness adjustment off at this point, just so you can see what the night was like, and to experience the gradual increase in light levels as the sun comes up. Woohoo! Aha! Now this is a good find. We found some honeycomb. Now there is a fair bit of honeycomb on this island, and from this point forward we are in the area of the island where we tend to come across it a lot more. Any of the areas that's under the under the cover of the big trees, there's no honeycomb in those areas. But out here where it's a bit more open, yep, we got some honeycomb, and that is going to be very handy once we get back to the raft. There are some other little things to... why I said that. Yeah, there's some other interesting things that we're going to come across that I made the thing that I needed and then promptly left it behind. So yeah, we'll deal with that in part 2 of this, when we run around and do a bit of a tidy up of the whole island. For this episode, we will see these things, and yeah, I'll look at them blankly and then realise I've left my, net behind. Minor spoiler. Alright, we are making our way to the last of the relay towers. Now, this relay tower, they call it the number 6, is of course the third location, and we'll hopefully have the remaining bits and pieces that we need. This is the moment, however, that I've realised that I left my net behind because, yes, there are bees. Yeah, we're going to want to catch a few of those before we leave the island. They will let us get some beehives going, and honey is very, very, very useful. So that's something that's going to be very important and will be coming up in a future episode. In the meantime, we are trudging up this track, looking to get to this third relay station. Now, there's a few little odds and ends along the way, not the least of which we do find a few more berry bushes. We find a random couch with a note stuck to it. See if you can decipher the meaning of the note. Yes, I think I've encountered something similar to that previously, but, you know, that's life, really. Alright. Vines. Yes, this looks like the way to the next tower, except we are going to need a tool called a machete to chop our way through there. You might think, oh, why do we need one of those? Well, yeah, I don't know about you, but I can't jump that gap. So I think the machete is the way forward there, and we'll add that to our to-do list. In the meantime, we've got some more berries there we can grab. I think we've probably got enough. Yeah, we've got 13 berries. I believe we only need 5 at a time to do the thing that we need to do with those. So we've got enough there for 2 attempts if things go a bit pear-shaped. That's something that's probably not going to fit in this episode. That'll go in part 2 as part of our cleanup exercise. In the meantime, we're having a bit of a look around for any of the other locations that I could vaguely remember where they were, to look for any of the other clues that we needed as part of our explorations of Balboa Island. Now, I tried something a little bit different with this trip. I decided to look down a bit more so I could better position myself on the crates. And it's the spacing on the crates is kind of annoying. You've got to do a mixture of running and not running while you're jumping. Because if you run and jump, you jump a little bit too far. And if you walk and jump, you don't jump far enough. So it's a bit of a, you know, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop kind of exercise to get across with the best timing. Now, as you can see here, we're back at the ranger station. We are missing the wrench, and we haven't come across the wrench yet. We're doing another review of the ranger station, and we still haven't seen the mystery icebox that's available there because we forgot to look up again. Don't worry, we will cover that off in the next, in part 2 of this exploration of Balboa Island. So, stay tuned for that one. At this point, I decided that we're going to head back to the raft. Check a couple of things on the way back. But basically, we're just going to head back to the raft because I've realised we're pretty much at around 30 minutes. And I really didn't want to chop any of this episode. So I wanted you guys to see, you know, how long it takes to get around from, you know, point to point on the island. The sorts of things I'm looking at, you know, play all of the audio clips in full, you know, all that other good stuff like I did on the Vastigan, or whatever the hell the name that boat thing is. So we've been able to achieve that this episode, and we're heading back to the raft to do a bit of a tidy up and to sign off. On our way back, we found this other area which has more honeycomb and more bees. So I've made a mental note of this as a place to come back to once we've got our net and we're doing our cleanup as part of part 2 of this exploration of Balboa Island. Yeah, we actually do pretty well out of that. Minor spoiler. Alright, as we gather the last little vestiges on our way back to our raft, we have also gathered the last vestiges of this episode. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to consider subscribing if you aren't already subscribed. Until next time, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure you have yourself an absolutely fantastic day, night, and 2025.